Hello, my name is Michael Cassens. I'm an associate professor in the School of Visual and Media Arts in Game Design and Interactive Media. I'm also the director of esports here at the University of Montana. And today we're going to be talking about esports as an educational agent, differentiating from a traditional model. Typically, when you want to create an esports program or some sort of a curricular program within higher ed, there is a process that needs to happen. You have to develop the curriculum. You have to work with faculty, particularly if you have various classes that are going to be created. And then you have to have some sort of review process, particularly going into whether it's the committee or a full faculty senate if you have one, that then decides whether or not it's going to be viable for the institution. And the way we've done it is we've done it through collaboration with various instructors to create a certificate that will be an add-on to a major. We have a program that offers well over 50 different majors, and we wanted to be able to have something that would be applicable to all majors. And so that's the way we decided to do it. And then once we have it, then it's implemented. We have to actually execute the courses that we've put into the certificate so someone could actually succeed in a short amount of time. Our certificate is somewhere between 12 and 15 credits. And so depending on your institution, it may vary, but it's something that is something that just gets added to their transcript at the end. So how we look at this, or how I look at it anyway, is typically esports is viewed as something as a alternative. It's a community building thing. It's a way to have students participate as an extracurricular, something that's maybe, or even something that's outside of their typical academics. And I think it's very viable to have something that is co-curricular, something that they're doing right on the competitive side, but also something that they can add to their academic acumen that shows the skills of which they're learning. Some of them may be the things that we talk about at great length, which may be soft skills or like good public speaking or communication, conflict management, but it also may be the technical skills of things like how do you effectively run a broadcast? How do you, create community events, do charitable donations if you're going into nonprofit work? How do you think about budgets? Those types of avenues are also very important, as well as what are the ethical natures that you need to be aware of? What are the ways in which generative AI plays a role in this now? So looking into the future as well, not just only specific to esports, but how all these things intersect with one another. And so these types of things are what gives us kind of that scholastic feel to it. So one of the ways that we look at communities, we look at as it doesn't really matter where you come from. This is the definition of diversity. It's saying regardless of who you are, you can be part of what we are and who we are. And so this is a way to kind of bridge these gaps and create and foster a space where everyone can belong. And it sounds simple, but it's like any game, right? It's simple, but it's hard to actually get implemented at some points because you have differing points of views. You do have different spaces, but in an academic space, it's already happening. It's happening now in a curricular and extracurricular space, so why not model and put that all into one? So here's where things get kind of interesting, right? We start thinking about what are the things that they're learning in the classroom? What are the things that we need them to learn as esports competitors? What are those competencies? And then how does that actually translate into vocation, or how do we get ready for the real world? Some of the things that they need to know, particularly for regardless of major, is what we've talked about before. It's easy to say soft skills, but honestly, leadership in generative AI, leadership in general, good communication, things that are more critical today than they've ever been before. And so we're trying to help bridge that gap by giving them dedicated spaces where they get to practice. Right? The classroom is a place where they can learn how to practice these skills, not be afraid to make mistakes, and be successful by learning. So if you think about the traditional model of esports pedagogy, or the traditional models that are out there, the majority of them are in the business of esports, which makes sense. You want to be able to create a viable, sustainable model for esports. It's been very well documented. Many programs are set up like this. I want to say it's close into the 80 percentile, and we wanted to change that core focus. We wanted to think about leadership, community, theoretical exploration as opposed to just business. And it's not to say that business and esports don't cover these things, but we wanted to be explicit. Additionally, versus saying like this is going to be applicable to, and this is what we realized when we were exploring this process, is we have a number of business students, a great number, but not all. And we wanted to have something that was more universal and something that could be added on to anyone's major, regardless. They're a wildlife biology major, not a problem. We can add that to them because they need to be able to communicate effectively in the field. They can also do things within the business field, but it doesn't mean that it's specific to that. And additionally, we don't want silos any longer. We want to have cross-disciplinary or interdisciplinary work with one another. And how do we do that? We can draw from the principles of business and the principles of computer science and the principles of game design and the principles of all these different areas of philosophy, ethics, and then have that be part of their new skill set. And then at the end, we know that the business side of things is a legitimate thing. It's been proven. And we now want to be able to say, can we address broadly kind of this cross-disciplinary need that honestly is quite unique to Montana because we need leaders in this area. We're a rural state and we need people to be able to wear multiple hats. And so that's where this comes in. So if you think about who an esports scholar would be, if we want to describe them, we have, of course, their broadcasting or their voice, right? Can they be effective? So broadcasting teaches them that. Not only the production side of things or setting up a stream and understanding OBS, but really like, can you be an effective communicator? And it's really a fascinating thing. Can they do that? Additionally, when they're utilizing their hands to compete, can they be effective in leading? When they think about what is their body language that they're putting out there? What is the way that they're expressing themselves and being open to those conversations? When we think about their brain or their thoughts, can we think about, the art and science of gaming? What is it that it's doing? How do games work? What's the underpinnings? As well as how does generative artificial intelligence play a role in all of this? Where do they land? Not one way or another, not through influence, but more of exploration. And then, of course, their heart. What are their ethics behind all of this? What are the ways that they engage in community? What kind of charitable engagement do they do? Because that is what makes them well-rounded. So here's the deal. We think about it in terms of, can we create an inclusive environment through all different types of ways of being, and then bring them into this medium that we have, and have them do all the things that we need them to do. Play games competitively, learn about different things, strategize differently, have good teamwork in person and online. And then what does that lead to? We transfer that into any space that they're going to go into, particularly leadership, but any type of AI literacy, which is critical, ethics, of course, problem solving, which is something they need to have, and then, of course, their professional skills. How can they take that into the professional world? So when we're doing this, as a reiteration, we come up with this concept, and that's how we did it. We came up with the concept of what are the classes they need to take to be successful. And then we developed all the curriculum, leveraging courses that already existed, as well as creating new ones. And then it went through a committee review that said, is this something that's viable for a great number of students? Because we not only have 100 competitive players, but greatly in like the greater space, we have closer to 400. Can this be effective for all of them? And in fact, the committee came back and said, yes, we agree. And then once it went through that, we got full approval for academic approval from the provost and the Board of Regents to be able to offer this in the fall. So this is how it happens for any course. We come up with a special topic and just test its viability. You have 3 semesters to test that. You have a justification plus the syllabi to say, is this something that that resonates with people? It doesn't mean it can't change. It just means that We need to know. And then we give it a common course. In Montana, we have this across all our university systems so that anyone from any university could take this and really have it apply if they transferred. And then, of course, it goes through the Faculty Senate to give full approval from our members of our faculty that are making decisions on a curricular level. What do we want to do, though? We want to think about, is this a novelty? And there is skepticism, right? I mean, the idea behind you're just playing video games is still very real. So it's changing that narrative. Can we change it from this is just something kind of people are going to do for a while and it will wear off to can we give it academic rigor, for lack of a better word, around that to make it be somewhat like what are we already doing in our courses and how is there synergy between them? And then start thinking about how do we actually make this really standardized, right? How do we make this from just some experiment to really something that's real that will continue into the future? So really that's where the syllabi come into place, the common course numbering that helps us say this is something for real that exists. And then of course, getting institutional endorsement is key. Because once you have that, then you have the power of that coming behind you. So this is the future. We see this as a very cross-disciplinary thing that will continue, that not only will our students benefit, but other faculty could benefit. This could grow if we wanted to into a minor, into a major, but as for now, we wanted to test it out at a certificate level to say, is this something that people will want to sign up for? So far, we have good enrollment numbers initially, and we'll see as time goes on. It'll be curious to me to know, how are we doing with this? We will track this and find out. But this is the way in which we've gone about it. So I want to say thank you, and please let me know if you have any other questions.